Hi, this is George Olney. Today I'm going to walk you through multi-currency. Multi-currency inside of the i21 suite is quite an extensive product that allows you to revalue currency, recognize gains or losses on currency. It actually allows you to manage your exposure in currency, and it allows you to financially report in currency. So it's a great product. It's really easy to use as far as multi-currency goes, and I think you're going to like it. What we'll start off with is in each company you define a functional currency, which tells you what currency you're reporting in, and then an accounts payable default for like what type of rate you're going to use for transactions, like a spot rate or historic rate. So again, you can manage those historic rates inside of i21, and you can actually enter your currency rates or import them. The other piece that we have is an unrealized and a realized gain or loss for transactions, so you can report those on your profit and loss anywhere you want. The other thing that I wanted to note was just exchange rates. We do keep full tracking of the exchange rates between two currencies. And we actually see how those transactions were generated, like who input them. If you import, it'll say imported. And again, you can see the rates on those particular transactions. So pretty cool from that respect. The next thing that you're going to see is inside of each entity, and I'm going to go inside of the vendors. This is a US dollar denominated vendor. You'll note that the currency is tracked to say, when I do a transaction for this vendor, what transaction currency am I going to use? For the most part, this is US dollar. Although that could be overridden, it's not required that a vendor have a specific currency type. So that's that. That's actually how you set up the currency that the transaction is tracked in. And now after the currency is set up, I'm just going to show you how to create a voucher inside of a foreign currency. So again, note that I'm in a US dollar company. So a Canadian voucher would be foreign for me. So I'm going to go ahead and enter a Canadian supplier, and I'm going to put it with invoice number 122233. And check comments, I can put comments that will appear on the check. These are payables that potentially I might want to pay. It's alerting me. Test comments. These are things that I might want to put on the check. Test comments. I can put in a miscellaneous description. Let's say this is rent. Again, this will work if I bill through inventory, etc. But you know, this one's just a simple rent expense. And you'll note here I've ordered one unit of rent, and the exchange rate is 0.85. And I'm going to say I'm paying, let's say, $10,000 a month. That's a nice place that I'm renting for our offices. And so that's $10,000 a month rent. And then I'm going to go ahead and save that transaction, and it's going to ask me for an account that I want to book the expense to, and I'm going to pick the miscellaneous account, and again I'm going to save. Now when I save it, note that I don't have the rights to actually process a transaction without getting approved. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over to a person that does have the rights, this Joe Approvers, and I'm going to go and approve this voucher so we can proceed with the booking of the voucher. Again, now it's just a quick interlude into the approvals. Now you'll note my transaction is approved. The other thing you'll note is that we do have the push on the screen. So because this transaction was pushed, it pushed out the permissions to post. If you'll note it before we did this, if you back up the video a few seconds, post was unavailable. Now it is available because it took the push to allow me to post. So I can go ahead and post this transaction, or I can go post preview. One of the huge features inside of i21 from an accounting perspective is that every transaction has a post preview on it, so you can see what it's going to do when you post it or what it did do. So now here you can see on the posting of a voucher, I would never have a gain or loss, but here you can see I can see the debit units and credit units in US dollars now, because that's already converted, and my foreign debits and credit units, and looky there, it both balances on both sides. Amazing. And then there's the rate that's been applied based upon the spot rate that you saw us enter. So pretty cool from that respect. I'm going to go ahead and post that transaction. Now that's going to create an actual payment that I can actually process. So what you'll note here from the voucher, again with my inline processing, straight through processing, I can go ahead and I can actually enter the transaction, post the payment, and if everything's good, if there's no issue, again I can go straight through to the process payment, which is the voucher. So again, straight through processing allows me to get right through. And now I'm actually cutting a check. It's assigned the bank account automatically to the Royal Bank of Canada. I'm a U.S. entity. But this now will also decipher that I'm in a foreign company, and I'm going to actually add some checking account numbers. Again, our system controls the next check number, and I'm going to create some checks. I'm going to go ahead and create those checks. The check number is and then I'm going to go through and I'm going to create 1,000 checks. We audit the check number, so I'm going to put a series of checks from 1 to 1,000, create it. It's going to generate the checks. That's just so I have checks available. You see in a few other features in our system. Now I'm going to go ahead and print the check. Now this is basically going to go out and decipher which account number I'm in, which is a Canadian account, and now it's going to create a Canadian check, and it's going to bring that check up and actually print it in Canadian dollars, which is the 10,000, but it'll post appropriately to the general ledger as the 8,500 USD. So very nice thing. This will actually go onto the reconciliation, so I can reconcile cash accounts in multiple currencies. So a lot of heavy lifting I showed you in a couple of minutes, which is pretty cool. Now that covers the check processing and printing process. What I'm going to go through is the month-end revaluation, and this is going to take a couple minutes, so bear with me. But basically at the end of the year, what you're capable of doing, or the end of the month, is you're capable of revaluing currency. Now, in order to do that, you have to work with a closed fiscal period, right? So I'm going to go ahead and go into this transactional year, and I'm going to go ahead and close a period, right? So I can look at a particular period like December, and I can close that period, or I can go into October, and I can close October. So I'm going to go into October, and I'm going to say for purchasing, we just cut a check in there. I'm going to close that transaction set, right? And it's going to say there's one other voucher here that's not left to post. I'm going to go ahead and post that. That's my month-end controls that make sure that the transactions and the data is posted before I close periods, right? And now I'm going to go ahead again and try and close after we've posted all the transactions. And now that AP is closed for October, right? Cool. So at that point, once I have a closed period, I'm going to be able to revalue. So now I've got my closed period, and I'm going to go ahead and be able to go into general ledger, and I'm going to be able to revalue my period, right? So I'm going to go into revalue currency, and I'm going to go into a new revaluation, and I'm going to pick my period, which is going to be the 2017. Sorry, just clicked the button there. I'm going to pick my period, which is 2017, not 18. And then there I'm going to pick my financial year, which is our financial month, which is October. I'm getting an early start as it's October 1st. And then I'm going to say transaction types. I'm going to say show me all my payables, where the transaction currency is CAD. It's going to go ahead and get my payables, and it's going to show me the two payables that I just put in. And it's going to basically ask me what Forex rate I want to use, and I'm going to use the spot, right, which is 85 cents. And it's going to go ahead and calculate the gain or loss. Now, since the spot rate hasn't changed from those two transactions when they were initiated, there's no gain or loss. If the spot rate had changed, then it would show the gain or loss there. And I can go ahead and post this and see it in the general ledger. And if I just go ahead and post this transaction, now I'm going to be able to see it in the general ledger. So I can go ahead and close this period now. And now I can go into the general ledger and go into GL account detail. And I can see that a revaluation of the accounts has been completed. Again, my general ledger tracks every single transaction in the system. So this shows me my revaluation currency, my gain or loss, and the reversal, because it reverses it in the following period. So from that respect, that's what happens there. You'll note it kept the history that those transactions haven't changed. So there's no debit or credit because I didn't change the rate, but it'll keep a history of all those transactions that were revalued, which then gives you a nice drill down and historic review of those transactions. So for respective multi-currency, that's a long segment there. That's about 10 minutes, but that's a quick overview of some of the features that we can do. Again, it applies to multiple modules and multiple transactions.